Have you ever wondered those nights where you were just restless? You were tossing, you were turning, sleep feels like miles away, but you can't put your finger on why. Or maybe you've woken up from dreams so intense they felt more like memories. For thousands of years, human intuition has pointed a finger at that silent observer in our night sky, the moon. We have blamed it for our moods, for weird happenings, and definitely for our sleepless nights. This connection is embedded in our very language. The word lunatic comes from the Latin word luna, for moon, reflecting an ancient belief that it could cause madness. It's a story as old as time. But what if it wasn't just a story? For a long time, the idea that cosmos could tug at our subconscious minds was dismissed as superstition. But as we get better at measuring the subtle rhythms of human body, a new picture is starting to emerge. Science is finally catching up with the folklore, and it's finding a real, measurable connection between the night sky and our inner worlds. It's no longer just a topic for poets, it's a subject for neuroscientists, and their discoveries are rewriting what we thought we knew about sleep. Have you ever wondered why some weeks you feel perfectly rested and others you're just dragging yourself out of the bed? The answer might not be the daily routine, but in a celestial one. Emerging science is revealing that our bodies are still synced to the ancient cycle of moon, affecting everything from how long we sleep and how rested we feel. This isn't astrology, it's biology, an echo of our past written into our very DNA. The idea that the moon could mess with our sleep seems a little strange in our brightly lit world. We have blackout curtains, street lights that outshine the stars. Surely the moon's faint glow can't compete. That's what the scientists thought too. For years, studies were all over the place, often relying on people's subjective reports, which can be swayed by the very belief being tested. But with the modern sleep labs, we can look at the data directly without the bias of belief, and that data is telling a new story. Now, this isn't just a Western idea. In India's ancient system of medicine, Ayurveda, the moon is seen as a governing force for the mind and emotions. Vedic texts describe how our cosmic cycles influence our bodies and our mental state. A landmark modern study and others that followed looked at the sleep pattern in a huge range of environments, from indigenous communities in Argentina with no electricity to college students in Seattle, and the results were fascinating. Across cultures, regardless of the access to artificial light, a distinct pattern emerged, synced with 29.5-day lunar cycle. In the 3 to 5 days of leading up to the full moon, people constantly took longer to fall asleep, and their total sleep time dropped. The numbers are specific, though not dramatic. One of the famous analyses found that around the full moon, people took about 5 minutes longer to fall asleep. Now, that might not sound much, but they also slept for a total of 20 minutes less each night. But perhaps the most interesting finding was about the quality of the sleep. The same study noted a roughly 30% reduction in deep sleep, which is the most restorative phase of slumber. This is the stage where your body repairs itself and consolidates memories. While not all studies have found an effect this large, it points to a significant disruption. The other sleep stage that gets attention is the REM, or rapid eye movement, which is where we do most of our vivid, story like dreaming. Now, some studies have noted that the time it takes to get to REM sleep can change with the lunar phase. Now, when you combine this to less total sleep time, you might have shorter window for dreaming. Now, some people report that their dream around full moon feels more intense, more unsettling. Science doesn't have a firm answer to this, but one idea is that when our sleep architecture is disrupted, our brain might be trying to squeeze its necessary dream work into a shorter, more frantic period. The folklore might have been a pre scientific observation of real biological phenomenon. Okay, so if the evidence points to a real connection, how does it work? This is where the story gets really interesting. The most obvious suspect is moonlight. The full moon is bright in a world without artificial light, and that would have a major impact. Our internal 24-hour clock or circadian rhythm is run by light cues. Light tells our brain to suppress melatonin, an hormone that makes us sleepy. So it makes sense that a brighter night could trick our brains into thinking it's not time for bed. But that can't be the whole story. The amount of light from a full moon is pretty faint, and most of us are blasted with far more intense artificial light from our phones and TVs every night. Now, this is where research gets compelling. Christian Kyohen, a chronobiologist, conducted a pivotal study where people slept in completely controlled lab, a dark windowless room. Now, they had no idea what phase the moon was in. And yet, the pattern held. As the moon waxed to full, their sleep quality got worse. They produced less melatonin, took longer to fall asleep, and spent less time in deep sleep. This finding is huge because it means that effect isn't just about the light. One hypothesis, and it's important to stress that it's still a hypothesis, is that we have an ancient internal circadian clock. It's just like our daily circadian one. I think of it as a biological ghost in the machine, a rhythm we inherited from the ancestors who lived by the moon's light. For them, brighter nights of a full moon might have been a time for more hunting or social activity. An internal clock that made them sleep less during this phase could have been an advantage. Now, we may have carried that clock with us, ticking silently in our DNA. Another, more speculative idea involves the moon's gravitational pull. We know it's powerful enough to move oceans. While the effect on a single person is tiny, some scientists wonder if our bodies, which are mostly water, are sensitive to these subtle fluctuations. The truth is, we don't have a final answer. The how remains an active and exciting mystery. Does the moon affect everyone equally? As the neuroscientists dig deeper, they are finding this lunar effect isn't one size fits all. It seems our responses to moon's cycle might vary, especially between men and women. But a word of caution, the research here is still very new and different studies sometimes show conflicting results, so the picture is far from clear. Now, one study, for instance, noted that while women's sleep was disrupted around the full moon with less total sleep and less deep sleep, men in the study actually had an increase in REM sleep. Another study found that during the waxing period before a full moon, men experienced lower sleep efficiency while women remain largely unaffected. The reasons aren't understood, but it might be linked to how different hormonal systems in men and women mediate in these external cues. While the moon's effect on our sleep is physiological and our relationship with night is much bigger, it extends to the billions of stars, and its impact is less about sleep cycles and more about psychological well being. The key here is a powerful human emotion, wonder. Think about the last time you were far from the city lights, under a night sky so dark that Milky Way looked like a brush stroke. Now, that feeling of being small in the face of something so vast, that's the feeling of wonder. Research shows that this experience is genuinely good for our mental health. Studies have demonstrated that experiencing this feeling can reduce stress, boost feeling of happiness, and promote kindness. When we contemplate the scale of the universe, our daily worries tend to shrink a bit. It's a natural form of mindfulness. So what does this have to do with dreams? Our dream world is built from the raw materials of our waking life, our thoughts, stresses, and emotions. If our waking hours are filled with a sense of wonder, it stands to reason this might influence our subconscious narratives. The themes of our dreams could shift from anxious loops to more creative or expansive scenarios. And this is where we face the modern tragedy, light pollution. For most of human history, a starry night was universal experience. Now for billions, it's a rarity. That glow on the horizon is robbing us a chance to feel that profound sense of wonder. By cutting ourselves off from the night sky, we might be inadvertently changing our inner lives. We're denying ourselves a natural source of perspective and stress reduction. It's possible that our collective dreamscape has become a little more mundane because we no longer have that nightly reminder of vast, beautiful universe we are part of. For all our progress, the inner world of dream has remained mostly a black box. We can see sleep stages being disrupted, but we can't just ask a dreamer what's happening in there. We have to rely on waking reports, which are often fragmented and unreliable, but that's starting to change. We are on the verge of revolution in dream research. Scientists have now achieved two-way communication with people while they are in the middle of a lucid dream. Now this is real. In groundbreaking work from Northwestern University and collaborating labs in Europe, researchers showed it's possible to have a real-time dialogue with someone who is asleep and dreaming. Now, the technique is brilliant. While most of our body is paralyzed in REM sleep, our eyes aren't. Researchers use this to create a communication channel. They can ask a lucid dreamer questions using sound or light, and the dreamer, who knows that they are dreaming, can answer back using pre-arranged eye movements, like left to right eye movement for yes. The implications are incredible. For the first time, we can run experiments with dreaming mind. This brings us right back to our cosmic connection. This technology could finally help us answer some of the most elusive questions. Imagine the experiments now possible. A researcher could ask lucid dreamer during a full moon, do you feel uneasy in your dreams? Or is the moon visible in your dreams? We could test whether the pull of the moon is something that can be subconsciously felt. We could finally start to map the direct influences of these celestial forces on the content of our dreams, not just the structure of our sleep. This is more than a new tool. It's a new way of understanding subconsciousness itself, dissolving the firm line between the waking and the sleeping. From ancient stories to modern neuroscience, our relationship with the night sky is deep and persistent one. We're learning that the old folklore isn't just superstition. The scientific evidence suggests that lunar cycle has a real, measurable impact on our sleep. Around the full moon, we tend to sleep a bit less, and our sleep is less deep, likely driven by something more profound than just moonlight, perhaps an ancient internal clock. Beyond the moon, the simple act of looking up at the starry sky can bring a sense of wonder, which is good for our soul, reducing stress and potentially shaping our dreams for the better. And now, with this stunning ability to communicate with lucid dreamers, we are on the verge of asking our subconscious mind about these influences directly. We are in a remarkable time, rediscovering an ancient truth with modern science. We aren't separate from the universe. We are a part of it, and our minds and bodies are still tuned to its rhythms. The night sky isn't just pretty backdrop. It's an active part of our story, influencing our rest and shaping our dreams. So tonight, if you can, step outside, look up and wonder what the sky might have in store for you. If you ever felt the pull of your moon or have your own story about the night sky affects your dreams, share it in the comment section. And for more journeys into the science of your mind and the mysteries of the sleep, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Thanks for watching.